Hey you guys, it's Voetberg. Welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, welcome. There's a couple things that I want to tell you before you hit the subscribe button, or if you're considering hitting the subscribe button. But today we're going to be talking about my 19-month-old daughter, so before she was 2 years old, how I potty trained her in 2 days. It has been almost 2 weeks, or a little over 2 weeks, since I did this. So we're sticking to the pattern of twos here. And she's only had one accident in those 2 weeks since we started that initial potty training phase. This is a completely different experience than with my son, who potty trained at around the same age. I think he was 19 months as well when he was potty trained, but it took me 4 months to do it, and it was like a total nightmare. So I have some new tricks up my sleeve. So today we're going to talk about how to potty train. We're going to talk about how to know when your child is potty trained, because if they aren't like 5 years old and just like never going to go in your diaper again, like how do you know if they're ready to like go to the grocery store or hang out with a babysitter and you know that there's a pretty high success rate that they're gonna go in the toilet. We're also gonna talk about how to keep your child successful, what to do if there is a relapse, and how to potty train on the go. If you aren't just sitting at home for a week by yourself, how do you potty train when you do need to go to the grocery store and the library and to a meeting where you don't want your child wetting on the floor? So what I wanted to let you know, if you're considering subscribing, or if you've been a subscriber here for a long time, which thank you so much for joining me on my journey, you might have heard a little rumble on the internet that COPPA, there are these child protection laws, the government's starting to step in and regulate YouTube videos more heavily, which is why you might notice that the comments are off in my description box. Regardless of what laws pass, I think on December 10th of 2019, I will probably be removing most of the child-related content here on my channel and deleting it. So that includes my day in the life vlogs, that includes anything like this video that's related to child training, because I really want my comments back on and I want to be able to talk to you guys, and I really don't want my children to be in danger. So I will still be sharing my life on here, minus my children in the frames. I will be still talking about marriage. I will be talking a lot about taking care of yourself as a mom and strategies and tips and hacks. But anything specific that might be a little questionable, like potty training, for instance, or day in the life content, go to my Instagram. I'm going to be uploading IGTV videos more consistently with child-related content over there on Instagram. So my Instagram's in the description box. I'm going to try to take those portions of my channel here that will be missing and put them over there. But I'm still going to keep YouTube going. I'm just going to be more specific on the content that I'm putting up. I tried to potty train Lucy a few times, and there were two problems that I would run into. One, she would get on her potty for about 1 second and then start screaming her brains out and just be like, ah! Like, have any other parents experienced that? Another problem I was having is I didn't have that many opportunities throughout the day to potty train. She would be walking around the house, she'd wet her pants, she'd make a mess, I'd clean up the mess. 2 hours later, she'd have another mess, and it was like, we aren't having any successes here. This is overrated. The first tip is flood their system. I like the term flood because that's what you want to do. You want to get your child so full of liquid that they cannot help but go. When you set them on the toilet, they just have to go. How do you flood your child's system? For me, it was giving my daughter juice. So I gave her juice, I diluted it with water, and I actually put some honey in it. I know that all that sugar content wasn't good for my daughter, but she needed to drink it. Also, instead of putting it in her sippy cup, I put it in her bottle, which she typically only gets before bed. So it was like super special because it was sweet. It was super special because it was in her bottle, and she couldn't stop drinking it. She drank and drank and drank and drank and drank. And after she drank the first full bottle, it took her like 10 minutes, I put her on the potty and I turned on a movie. Okay, so that's my second tip, is if your child screams when they're on the toilet, you have to do something that is special for them, something that they don't typically get to do, and something where they forget that they're sitting on the toilet. So my kids don't really get screen time that often. We rarely watch movies. So in the middle of the morning, for me to be sitting her on her toilet in the living room, just her little potty chair, and turning on a movie was like super special to my daughter. She forgot she was on the toilet, and she went accidentally because her system was so full, she was distracted, she went accidentally. All day long, I kept her on the toilet. I fed her on the toilet. I just kept giving her tons of bottles, which kept her distracted. She just kept drinking and drinking and drinking. I let her watch movies almost all morning on the toilet. She took a nap, we got up, we watched more movies. Is this sustainable? No. Do you want your child just sitting in front of a television eating candy and sweet things? No, you don't. But if it's gonna be 2 days, totally worth it. They have so many opportunities for success, and they have so many opportunities to learn, oh, I am relaxing and I am releasing. They need to learn that feeling, and they need to understand what is happening with their bodies. So for the first few times my daughter went, she went without knowing. Like, I had to check, and I was like, oh, you went potty, good job. And she was like, what? Like, because she's so used to going in her diaper and not even noticing what's happening with her body. But because I had flooded her system, she went 11 times her first day. And we started in the afternoon. The second day, when we started in the morning, she went over 20 times in the potty. And again, I'm keeping her on the potty almost all day, and she's going almost every 10 minutes while she's on the potty. So she had a big nap in the middle, and then I let her off the hook in the evening. We didn't worry about it. But for those morning and afternoon chunks, she was going like every few minutes, just going. And as she went throughout the day, she started to notice herself what was happening. And she would say, oh, mama. Well, she wouldn't say, oh, mama. She said, good job, good job. And that's when I knew that she had gone potty. The third tip I have for that potty training stage, which hopefully if you're doing these things, which is flooding their system and keeping them on the potty 100% of the time so they can have almost 100% success, is find out what motivates them. So my daughter, I was giving her these little baby chocolate chips if she went to the toilet, because when I potty trained my son a year ago, he loved eating chocolate chips or like a popsicle or, something sweet and sugary that he doesn't get very often. My daughter did not care in the least. She loved to hold her little potty chair and dump it in the toilet. To her, that was so motivating. It was so terrifying. I'm like standing, along behind her and like kind of holding it so she could dump it in. But she was so motivated to go so she could do that. If you're doing these things, if you're flooding their system, keeping them on the toilet and finding out what motivates them, then you probably will only have to be like full on potty training mode for a day or two. It's kind of like the potty training boot camp, I guess. But how do you know when you're out of that potty training boot camp phase and ready to move on to, when are they potty trained? They're still gonna have a mess here and there probably, but how do you know you're ready to go out and about? I think there's 3 things that will let you know when they're potty trained, depending on the age of the child that you're potty training. One of those options is if they're really young, they actually won't be able to hold it. So if they're like 13, 14 months or around that year-old stage, they might not be able to hold in their bowel movements or their urine when they need to go, but they can learn to relax and release on the toilet when you put them there. That's why you can find 9-month, 10-month-old babies that are potty trained, because their moms will set them on the toilet and they know to relax and release. So as a mother though, that means that it's on you to make sure that when they need to go, you're giving them the opportunity to go. So about every half an hour, you'll need to bring them to the toilet and give them an opportunity. If they're really young and they know how to try when they're on the toilet, they know how to relax and try to release what's in their system, then they're ready to go. The other 2 things that you know that they're potty trained and ready to leave that boot camp phase where all you're doing is sitting on the potty and drinking fluids is they tell you they need to go. So they start to recognize before they go, oh, I need to go potty. And somehow they tell you. My daughter would grab herself and say, oh. And then I knew, okay, we're running to the potty. One other thing that is really helpful, especially if your child is older, is if they can wait. So Lucy at 19 months is able to go, oh. And I go, oh, you need to go to the potty? Let's go to the potty. And she has probably a couple minutes for me to be able to get to the potty. Like I can go downstairs, get her potty chair, bring it upstairs. I could bring her downstairs. If we're in the grocery store, I could take her to the restroom. That's ideal, obviously, when they tell you they need to go and when they can hold it long enough so you can actually get them to the toilet. But if they can tell you they need to go, then that's pretty good. And if they know how to try when you give them the opportunity, then they're ready to move into that phase of you just keeping your child successful. So a couple ways you keep your child successful once they've gone through the potty training boot camp is put them on the potty after every transition of the day. So when they get up from a nap, put them on the potty. When you're getting ready to leave and put them in their car seat, put them on the potty. As soon as you go into a grocery store, put them on the potty. And after they finish eating lunch, put them on the potty, because that's typically when their bodies will relax the easiest and they will probably need to go. So just remember, anytime there's a transition, make sure you're giving them the opportunity. You really want to keep your child confident and positive that they can go in the toilet. It's kind of a muscle memory thing, and you don't want them to start having multiple messes back to back to back. So if they do like great for a couple days and then they have one mess, it's like, okay, it's understandable. But if they have two back to back, then take an afternoon, give them a bottle or, whatever it is, give them some juice, flood their system, get them going into the potty back to back to back. And then it kind of reminds their brain, oh, okay, this is what I do. This is how my body feels when I go. And it kind of brings them back into being in touch with their body and what they need to get done. One other thing I want to talk about is when you're on the go. So if you need to go to the grocery store or the library, if a babysitter's coming over, if your child's going to a friend's house, how do you handle that whole situation? You guys might be able to hear my garage door opening up and my husband coming home for lunch, so I gotta finish this up. A lot of kids, if they've learned on a little potty, which is how I like to do it because I can move it around the house with me and keep them on the potty more often, are scared of a big potty sometimes. So it took Lucy a little while to warm up to going on a big potty while I'm holding her there, and they might not right away, like at the grocery store, want to sit on the big potty and go. I had this mistake where I gave Lucy the opportunity to go on a big toilet in a grocery store. She didn't go because she was scared. It was a different environment for her, and then she went in the middle of the grocery store. That was during one of our first 2 days of potty training. I was probably a little ambitious to go to the grocery store without a diaper. So what I learned is I bring her little potty seat in the car, I set it on the passenger seat, and before we go into the grocery store, I give her the opportunity to go. And whether she goes or not, I give her that opportunity. I put on a diaper or a pull-up, something that's going to cover the mistake, and we'll do my grocery shopping, go to stores, whatever. When I get back to the car, I give her another opportunity to go. And almost always she goes on this second opportunity. And that way she's keeping her diaper dry. And it's kind of like she has, what do you call those? It's kind of like she has training wheels on for when she's out and about. And soon she'll learn to go on the potty either before or go afterwards. And now she'll go in a public bathroom, but it was really helpful for those first few days when we were out and about and I don't want to learn by being embarrassed. Then you can put on that diaper and potentially keep that diaper dry if you're giving her those opportunities or him those opportunities before and after. Anyways, I hope that this video was helpful for you. If it was, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more motherhood related content. And again, if you are looking for specific child training videos or day in the life stuff, then head over to my Instagram and I will be posting over there on IGTV and stories. I hope that this was helpful for you guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.